West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Good morning, and welcome to everyone who is joining us today on at this special time when the sun has appeared directly over the Tropic of Capricorn just about half an hour ago. So we're officially into a new season. Winter in the north, summer in the south. And regardless whether you're north or south, we do welcome all who are in the hall and all who are joining us from wherever they may be around the world. Let us begin as usual by acknowledging that we are located in Treaty 20 in the area of the Williams Treaties of 1923. These are the lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation that were previously occupied by the Seneca and Huron-Wendat First Nations. Please take a moment to look towards the two-row banner, which is displayed in our meeting hall. It was purposely designed and chosen by our congregation because it is based on the two-row wampum treaty, which is a mutual treaty agreement made in 1613 between the representatives of the 5 nations of the Haudenosaunee and representatives of the Dutch government in what is now upstate New York. It's one of the oldest treaty relationships between the Onwehonwe, the original people of Turtle Island, North America, and European immigrants. The treaty acknowledges the agreement that the two nations would live side by side in a relationship of peace, friendship, respect, and non-interference for as long as the water flows downhill, the grass grows green, and the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The reading this morning is from Bell Hooks, Belonging to a Culture of Place. And at the end of the reading, we invite you to respond to the phrase offered as wisdom for the journey by saying, "May we walk in its light." An invitation to participate if you wish to do so. Belonging is a fundamental human need, and the absence of belonging creates a profound and often hidden wound. Communities become strong when they offer people a sense of place, not simply geographical place, but a place in one another's lives. A strong community is one where we can return again and again, knowing that our presence matters. It is a place where we learn that connection is not accidental, but must be cultivated with intention and care. When people choose to nurture belonging, they create spaces in which healing, creativity, and justice can flourish. Community then becomes not just a gathering of individuals, but a living expression of our shared longing to be seen, known, and valued. And so this is offered as wisdom for the journey.
May we walk in its light.
I'm going to ask that we do something a little bit different this morning. We're talking about circles over rows. So, can anybody guess what I'm going to ask? You knew this is coming, right? You can tell, yep. I'm going to ask if we can make one big circle, and I want to include everybody here online. So maybe if we could kind of have a wing that comes here, and then one that comes there. And if you need help with your chair, I'm sure somebody would definitely help you. Thank you for participating this morning. So the real reason why we're in a circle is we're going to play Duck, Duck, Go this. I'm just kidding. We're not. Ring around the rosy. All right. None of that. Circles over rows. We've been in this series about connection. We want to connect. Especially around this time of year, we have all these different connections. That's really what it's about, in my opinion, connection. I like the saying, we have a longing to belong. A longing to belong. Last week in the TED Talk, I really enjoyed how the speaker talked about our basic human needs and how Maslow in his hierarchy was, really, really good. But the person presenting made the case that our social needs are actually more important than those other needs. Don't get me wrong, we need water, safety, shelter, all those things. But without the ability to share our needs, to connect with others, these things don't happen. And the presenter gave the case of even an infant and how an infant does that. Once again, my point, we need to belong. We have a longing to belong. One of my first Sundays here, and I've shared this reading at many different times, and I'm not going to do it again this morning because I've said it enough, but Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he talks about how our universe is formed and how he finds it astounding. And all of these things, is that as our universe is formed, is that we are connected to this universe. I mean, it's wild to me right now, our hearts. Iron was there at the beginning, as far back as we can trace. And that same iron helps our hearts beat. These elements that are in our universe are a part of us, and we are part of the universe. And the part of the Tyson quote that I really enjoy is after he talks about all this wonderful, amazing, astrophysics stuff, he turns it back to connecting to you and I, and he says, and that's what you really want in life. You want to feel connected. You want to feel like you are part of the going-ons of everything around you. We have a longing to belong. We want to connect. Now, this morning, I want to make an argument that connection can happen better in circles rather than rows. And it's not saying that rows are necessarily bad. Rows can be really, really good. But when we have circular thinking, when we do things such as singing together or sharing time and people share, when we have coffee afterwards, when the folks online, when you connect, those are circular activities. And I'm going to get a little bit more into that in just a second. But before we do, I just want to give mention and space to disconnection. Sometimes to realize and see something, we have to see in contrast. Disconnection. It can happen. We can even be in this time of year when we go and we see people. We might be in the same room, but it might not mean that we're necessarily together. And that's difficult, and that's hard. It happens. However, once again, I'm not saying that circles guarantee that connection happens and disconnection doesn't, but I'm saying that I think that it dramatically increases the chances. It can cultivate an environment where healthy connections take place. To kind of show this, I'm going to go into, if we could put the slides on the screen here. I'm going to go into something that's called the sense of community theory. And this was developed in the 1980s by two scientists. In this study, over 40 years ago, it's still a very well-respected study. And basically they found what are the different elements that make people feel a part of things, to feel, as I would say, connected, as Tyson said, a part of the going-ons around them. So these 4 elements in sense of community theory. And for today's talk, I'm labeling this as healthy circles. And that's what we are as a group. We're circles, a lot of different circles. The first thing, connection. Now the scientists, they labeled it as membership. I'm labeling it as connection because that's what we're talking about. And I'm going to try to have all C's, not just because I'm fancy, but I think sometimes it helps us remember things. But true connection. To kind of highlight what this doesn't look like when you don't feel membership, I've mentioned before that, growing up, I had some difficult times. And I didn't always feel membership included in my own nuclear family. And in fact, at a certain point, my brother and I had to be removed from that situation. And during this time, I went to this school. And I wanted to at least be a part of things there. I was struggling with so many things at home. I was a young teenager. I didn't really understand the chaos that life and the world could throw at you. I was just shifting through it the best I could. I was on the soccer team. I enjoyed playing, but I felt like that was a place where maybe I could meet some friends. One day, when I was in the big common area of the school, I was walking this way, and one of the guys on the team was walking this way, the opposite way towards me. And as our paths crossed, this other member of my soccer team, who was like the captain, star player of the team there, he raised his hand to give me a high five. And I don't know what I conscientiously said, but I know what I felt. It was something of, I belong. I'm a part of things. I'm getting a high five, a simple act. I have membership connection. And then when I went to give a high five back, he quickly put his hand down and said, "Thought you had a friend." And I know it's just a small thing, and maybe he meant it as a joke, but the fact that I still remember it to this day, the way that it made me feel. Now, on the opposite end of things, I ended up going to a new school as a teenager. In my first day, I sat next to somebody who is still a friend of mine today. And this person was in English class. And they sat right next to me and they said, "Hey, you're the new guy, right?" "Yeah." Well, he said, "I don't know, if you know what you're doing for lunch or, if you're going to sit with anybody, but you should come and sit with my friends. We have a table that we always sit at every day. You should come." And for the rest of high school, every single day, I sat there at that table with them. I was given membership. That's so important. The second thing, contribution. As the scientists say, they say influence, I say contribution. But it's basically not that you're just sitting at the table, but that your voice matters, that you can contribute, that you are valued. This goes for us and individuals, our relationships. It goes when we just one-on-one want to hear about someone else, when we don't make it just about ourselves, but we genuinely care about their opinion. It matters in groups like this, that we want to hear different people. I love about West Hills that we have lots of different committees that do things together. It's not just one or two voices, but so many different people working together. And I would even say it's systems at large. That's why fascism is wrong. Authoritarianism, because it diminishes people's voices. It only makes it a select few. That's why we need things like strong democracy, where voices matter. We have to have, if we want to have healthy circles, healthy communities, healthy countries, people have to feel, and not only feel, but they have to be able to contribute. Here at West Hill, this is something that we always want to have. The third thing for healthy circles, care. The scientists say it as people need to have their needs fulfilled, or at least feel like their needs are being fulfilled. I find it interesting in my study of high control religions. Why do people stay? Because they feel, at least in some sense, that their needs are being connected. I mean, there's other reasons, but that's one of the big reasons. And a lot of times what can create cognitive dissonance is when they feel that it doesn't meet those needs anymore. My point in saying this is we just don't want to have a feeling that our needs are being met. West Hill wants all people's needs to be met, to be radically inclusive. These different committees that I mentioned, yeah, sometimes it's about finance, or sometimes it's, about governance, or it's about, our services, our gatherings. But what they're really saying underneath it all is, how can we best meet people's needs? We have to have this. And I'm comparing and contrasting this a little bit with rows. I don't want to say, that rows are necessarily bad. But the difficulty can be if someone's sitting on this end of the row and someone's sitting over here, it can be much harder to know what their needs are. A lot of times you kind of only, get to know the person beside you. But a circle, you can see people. I mean, I'm sure you can even look around right now. And you can probably feel, in some sense, the shared humanity in the room. We all have needs, and we all come to this space with our different things going on in our life. The fourth thing that the sense of community theory states, they say shared emotional connection. And I ran out of a C word, so I just put connection again. Sorry. No, I actually kind of did that on purpose, because going with the circle theme, I think that this theory is cyclical in nature. If you feel a true sense of connection, if you feel like you truly belong, like you matter, and then you feel that you can have contribution, influence, and then you feel that you are cared for, that your needs are being met, you are going to experience shared emotional connection. We need each other. We need to have healthy relationships. I invite you to consider this. As we all go into our different worlds, as we connect with whoever we connect with over the holiday season, remember, people want to belong. That they want to feel that their voice matters, that their needs are being met, and ultimately, they want connection.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.